Hey guys, welcome back. This is my second episode in the Borderlands 2 skill tree walkthrough. This episode, by request, we're going to be doing Zero the Assassin. Uh, I have to say, Zero has, in what the gameplay I've seen so far, he's been very effective in single player and in co-op. So if I ever play with my friends, I'm definitely going to be using Zero. But he is not my first choice, but he is definitely my second choice. So without further ado, let's get started. So your first skill is Deception, which is your action skill. You create a holographic decoy and vanish for a few seconds. The longer you're invisible, the more damage your next attack deals. But ending invisibility sooner causes your Deception to cool down, refresh faster. So you get up to 650% melee damage, 200% gun damage, and 250% critical gun damage. That's fairly substantial if you stay in Deception for longer, but then your cooldown will be longer. So you unlock that at level 5. And then we start getting into the 3 different branches. There is Sniping, Cunning, and Bloodshed. Each one specializes in its own category, I guess you could say. For Sniping, that's fairly self-explanatory, right? You're a sniper, that's Zero's main gun. And most of these attributes attend for sniping. And then for Cunning, this kind of focuses on your Deception as well as gunning it. This is helpful in single player. And then for Bloodshed, which is the third one, this is very much just like all the other characters. You're very much a tank. You'll be going through the battle by yourself, and you'll be doing an amazing amount of damage. No one will be able to stop you, and it very much uses Deception to your advantage. So let's start going through all the skills. There's Headshot. Again, there's a 0 instead of an O because, well, that's his name, right? So it increases your critical hit damage by 4%. That's enough. I'm not going to say it's a lot, but it will add up if you enjoy sniping, again, because that is in the sniping category. But it is definitely not a good first level pick. For Optics, it increases your zoom with all gun types. Also, your aim is not disrupted as much when taking damage. That's going to be very effective, especially if you enjoy sniping, and especially if you enjoy aggressive sniping. You'll be able to run through the battlefield, and no one's going to be able to knock you off course. You're just going to keep going through. You're going to keep plowing through everyone with your sniper, and that's going to be very effective. For Fast Hands, increases your reload speed and weapon swap speed. 5% reload speed per level and 10% weapon swap speed per level. That's a pretty good first level perk, I have to say. The only problem is I'm not a fan of the Cunning, so I would not necessarily choose that perk, but it is up to you again, so it's your choice. And then the next one is Counter-Strike. After getting hit, your next melee damage has a chance to deal massive melee damage. That is definitely going to be very effective. As soon as you get shot, you can increase it by up to 250% at level 5. That's going to be very effective, especially if you're in Deception, which gives an additional 650. So that's definitely going to add up if you get Counter-Strike to level 5. But again, I'm not too much of a fan of the Cunning skill traits here, so I would generally pass on it. But again, it is up to you. So now we're getting into the Bloodshed. These are typically what I like because it is a lone gunner and you will just plow through everything. Nothing will stop you whatsoever. For Killing Blow, massively increases your melee damage with enemies with low health. 100% melee damage per level. At level 5, that will definitely add up. But at level 5, if you're attacking an enemy with low health, the 500% additional melee damage is not going to mean as much because you will only need, let's say, 200% more to kill the enemy with low health in the first place. So this skill is good, but I would not suggest bringing it to level 5. And Iron Hand increases your melee damage and your maximum health. This is fairly good at a 3% melee damage and 3% maximum health. It is fairly useful. Again, it is not a lot at 15% at level 5, which is, I guess, substantial, especially at this level. But again, it's just not as effective as some of the other skills. However, it is required for me. If I choose Zero, I would very much like Bloodshed, so I typically would choose this skill, but we'll get on to that later. The second tier skills for sniping is Killer. It is a kill skill. I went over this in my other video. I am not a fan of them. And specifically with Zero, he is a sniper. You're typically not getting those double kills, your triple kills, your quads. You're not getting those with a sniper as much. You're keeping your distance. So a kill skill will not be as useful because you will not be able to kill an enemy in substantial order or within enough time to make this kill really help. But if you do think that this will help because you don't necessarily want sniping for Zero, I would suggest this skill. Killing an enemy gives you bonus critical damage and reload speed for a few seconds. So again, this skill is typically not for a sniper, even though it is in the sniping. It's more for someone with a SMG or an assault rifle to stay in the battle as long as you can. So that's going to be very helpful, especially with the reload speed at 15% per level. For precision, it improves your accuracy with all gun types, 5% per level. That's very straightforward, and I have to say that is pretty darn impressive at a 25% accuracy. That'd be good if you're choosing shotguns, so your accuracy would be improved dramatically. But again, it is up to you. And again, as I said this before, sniping is typically not where I'm good at in Borderlands. I typically like to stay with my combat rifles and my SMGs. So it's okay if you would like sniping, and even if you like shotguns, it's going to be pretty darn useful. For Fearless, while your shield is depleted, you gain additional gun damage and fire rate. This is fairly useful, except for the fact that your shields regenerate at a fairly substantial amount, especially at higher levels. So if you're in a battle and your shield is not depleted, you're wasting these 5 skill points until it becomes depleted. And after it becomes depleted, you're not going to last too much longer as it is, because your health is typically not as strong as your shield. So that is an okay skill, but I would not necessarily recommend it. For Ambush, it increases damage when attacking from behind or when attacking an enemy who sorry for that, had a little knock on the door there. But so let me get back to this. So Ambush, it increases damage when attacking from behind or when attacking an enemy who is targeting someone other than you. That's pretty good, actually. The only problem is the 4% damage per level. It is used in some of the gameplay videos, and it does seem pretty effective because it can definitely increase the damage if you're planning on using Cunning and Deception. So yes, I would suggest this skill. It is fairly good. Grim, this is another kill skill. Oh, there's so many of these. I don't know. Maybe I'll have to start liking kill skills. But again, I'm just not a fan of them. Killing an enemy causes your shields to quickly regenerate and increase your action skill cooldown rate for a few seconds. That's fairly good, actually, especially if you have your kill skill and you use it a lot. The cooldown rate is a fairly substantial amount, only at 1.5% per second. Oh, sorry, just 1.5% after killing an enemy. So it's optional, definitely. Again, I'm not a fan of kill skills, but I was talking to some of my friends, and they were in love with kill skills. They loved them so much. My friend who is planning to be Zero actually went through this already, and I went through it with him, and he loved this skill because he found like the cooldown rate was going to help him. So I think he might have talked me into liking this skill, no doubt. So let's move on to the next one, which is the last one in the second tier, which is Be Like Water. Shooting an enemy improves the melee damage of your next melee attack. Melee attacks improve the shooting damage of your next shot. That's actually very good at a 4% gun damage and 6% melee damage. So if you shoot someone and then attack them with Zero's katana, which is his main weapon, which is his knife, if you just do that and rinse and repeat and keep shooting and then knifing, shooting the knifing, the increased damage might be worth it. It depends on the gun you're using, but if you're using a high power gun, I would definitely suggest this because of the slower rate of fire, so you can get that increased melee damage while getting ready for your next shots. So Be Like Water is definitely something I'd suggest. And now getting into these tier 3s. One shot, one kill. Man, does that skill just sound amazing. The first shot fired from a fully loaded magazine causes bonus damage. That is going to be very, very helpful, especially if you're using a pistol that has a very small clip, like 1 or 2, 12% damage after every time you reload, you're getting additional 12% per level that you have this. So times 5, that's going to give you a fairly substantial amount. And if you do enjoy your pistols or even your shotguns, this is going to be very helpful with the small clips. So the next one is Bore. Your shots pierce through enemies. If a shot hits an enemy after piercing an enemy, it causes massive bonus damage. Bore does not work with rockets and some special projectiles. Blah 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 blah. It will highlight an enemy crit locations. So that's going to be fairly useful actually. For each level, you do an additional 100% damage. For bonus damage if you shoot through an enemy, and enemy crit spot highlight white deception is active. So I kind of mumbled through that one. What this basically means is if you shoot an enemy, the bullet will go through that enemy. If that bullet hits another enemy, that is going to get an 100% damage, and take into account that this skill can only be used once, not 5 times, so you're only going to get that 100% damage, which is double. But the very good part about this skill is that enemy crit spots are highlighted while deception is activated. That is one of the things I saw in the videos because I've been watching them over and over and over, and it seems like it's going to be very, very helpful, especially while using your knife. It is typically hard to see where enemy crit spots are, and especially hitting them, so this will just give you that edge on getting that skill. For velocity, it increases bullet speed, damage, and critical hit damage with all guns. Wow. And I mean wow, that is a very, very good skill. So you're going to get an additional 100% bullet speed if this is maxed out at level 5, as well as a 15% critical hit damage and a 10% gun damage if it is maxed out. So the very good part about that is the bullet speed. I used a very similar skill in Borderlands 2 with my siren, and I find, especially with sniping, that is very, very useful. It allows the bullet to move faster through the air, giving it in this case, the bullet's going to travel twice as fast, and that is going to definitely get that bullet there quicker and allow for less enemy movement after you shoot, so you're going to be more accurate. So I would definitely suggest this skill. This is a very nice skill to have. For Rising Shot, each successful ranged or melee attack gives you a damage bonus for a short time. This bonus can stack up to 5 times. Faster weapons can gain stacks more quickly, but slower weapons retain stacks for a longer period of time. That's a very confusing skill. So each attack that you do, ranged or melee, gives you a damage bonus for a short amount of time, and this can stack up to 5 times. So if you have a SMG with a very high fire rate, you're going to get increased damage per bullet that you hit. And then if you keep shooting, it's going to be stacking 5 times. This can be very useful if using the rapid fire guns. As well, they did add that slower weapons retain stacks for a longer period of time. So this will even be effective if you're sniping or using a shotgun that either has a long reload or a time between each shot. So that's definitely going to be very effective. For Death Mark, dealing melee damage marks the target for a short duration. Marked targets take additional damage from all sources. Also, it is not an easy thing to live with. That is okay. I definitely underestimated it when I read through it the first time, but it's not necessarily as worth it as it might sound. but it is definitely good. Take into account that all these third tier middle skills only can be stacked once. You can only put one point into it, so you take 20% damage for 8 seconds. It's okay, but it might not be worth the skill point, especially if you're going for another skill. So I would not necessarily recommend it, but if you are going for cunning, I would recommend it. For unforeseen, your holographic decoy explodes when you become visible again, causing shock damage to nearby enemies. That is going to be very, very effective, especially if you like deception, which is a skill. This is going to be very useful, especially if you stay in close range as well, because that decoy is going to give much more damage. Now getting into the bloodshed. These are what I like. Ooh, another kill skill. Oh, not another one. Killing an enemy increases your movement speed, melee damage, and gun damage for a few seconds. That is definitely one of the better kill skills, I would have to say. I'm reading through this again, and I'm seeing so many things I haven't seen before. Especially the amounts that you get per level. Take into account you can stack that 5 times, which is what I typically like to do rather than spreading it out. That can definitely help, especially if you're going, again, this is bloodshed, so these are typically the more of the tank attributes, so that's definitely going to help you, especially the movement speed. It's definitely going to help you get around the battlefield quicker. For this one, melee overdrive skill. While deception is activated, the target is under your crosshairs. Dash forward short distance and perform a special melee attack, dealing massive damage. So you get 3 meters of extended range for your first attack. That is going to be very, very effective, especially because of the cooldown of deception. If you wait longer in deception, the cooldown is going to be longer. So with this, you're going to get to your enemy closer, and with the massive damage as well, it's not going to matter if you wait too long for the cooldown to be increased by waiting longer for the melee damage to increase. This is going to get you into the battle, get you back out while doing additional damage, and keeping the cooldown time for deception low. So that's going to be definitely one of the most effective skills that Zero has. For backstab, your melee attacks deal bonus melee damage when hitting an enemy in the back, 8% per level. That's good if you're doing co-op, but the problem is that often enemies are facing towards you and shooting at you, right? So it's very hard to tell when this is happening. But if you use this and you do enjoy using deception, you can get behind the enemy and do that additional damage. That can be very, very effective, no doubt. Now let's get into the tier 4. This is where the skills start being, you very much have to be determined to specialize in this skill to go down into these. So for the first one in sniping, it's kill confirmed. Aiming down the sights with your gun grants you a bonus critical hit damage. The longer you aim down the sights, the greater the bonus. Up to 8% critical damage per level times 5. That's fairly good, but the problem is, as soon as you shoot, all the enemies around where your bullet impacts are going to be after you. So you're not going to have the time. So you might get that first shot to do the additional damage, but you're not going to get those second and third and fourth shots to do that additional damage, because you're going to be moving around, you're going to be in and out of your sights, and it's not a skill as well. It's in the sniping category. Again, I'm not too much of a fan of snipers. They are very effective, don't get me wrong. Many people like them. But I'm in love with my SMGs. I can't get enough of them. So that's why I just would not necessarily recommend that skill. So we go over to the cunning skill. For this skill, while in deception is active, you gain increased gun damage, health regeneration, and movement speed. That's fairly effective, especially if you can get to this skill while using this skill. So for execute, you're definitely going to be able to get in there closer, as well as increasing your movement speed. You can be very, very far away from the enemy, as well as getting there in time, and again getting the short reload or cooldown for these your deception. So that's definitely a good combination if you decide to go for the bloodshed skills as well as for the cunning skills, which is not as easy as it sounds. You're definitely not going to have to go for all of as much as you like, definitely, but it is definitely a pathway that I might choose if I choose 0. And for the next skill, we get into the bloodshed. This is no, I am reading the wrong skill. Thank God. I thought there was another kill skill. I would flip my computer if I saw that. But killing an enemy with a melee attack restores health. The lower your health, the more health you receive. Up to 4% of your health. That's fairly effective, but up times 5, that's going to be 20% of your health. That's okay, but your health has to be low, and when your health is low, you're not going to want to be as close to an enemy as this skill wants you to be. But if you use deception and you're using this, because you use deception because you're low in health to really get you alive and get those kills that you need quickly so you don't die, if you kill an enemy with a melee attack, it's going to be very, very effective. So now we're getting into the tier 5 skills. At 1 with the gun. Greatly improves your accuracy with sniper rifles when shooting from the hip. Also increases your reload speed and magazine size for sniper rifles. Again, if you're a sniper, this is definitely one of the best, if not the best, skill for sniping. I have read through this, but I don't want to spoil it for you, so we're going to go with it is definitely one of the best skills. It's going to give you 25% sniper hip shot accuracy, 10% reload speed, and it increases the magazine size by 1 with sniper rifles, which is fairly sufficient, I guess you could say, because sniper rifles typically have a clip of around 4 to 10, I'm going to say. 10 is being the most, and there's definitely ones if you get a revolver sniper that can have 2 to 3, but that increased magazine size can definitely help. For 2 Fang, every time you fire a gun, you have a chance to fire twice, 6% per level. I have to say, I used guns in Borderlands 1 that shot twice, and not just you tear through ammo, you also tear through enemies. They will not know it hits them. It definitely is very, very helpful. So I would recommend this skill if you're going for cunning. For Like the Wind, which is the bloodshed skill. While moving, you gain increased melee damage and gun damage. That's fairly basic at 15% gun damage and 15% melee damage at level 5. That is definitely going to help if you're continuously moving around, especially with the execute skill. Again, I keep coming back to this, but it's so effective. You're going to be moving around to get around the enemy, and with this, you're going to get increased gun damage and melee damage while you're moving, so that's definitely going to help. And now we're getting into the final, the tier 6. This is the holy grail of all of the skills for 0. And for the first one, we're going to go through sniping, and it is critical ascension. Scoring a critical hit with a sniper rifle increases your damage and critical hit damage with sniper rifles. This effect can be stacked up to 999 times. Stacks slowly decay if you haven't scored a critical hit in a while. So 6% critical hit damage per stack and 5 damage per stack. That's very good. I know if you have played the DLC in Borderlands 1, I'm forgetting the name right now, but the one where all the zombies take over Jacobstown, it is very, very effective because it is the headshots that you can get, especially for the Brains quest. That takes a long time. You need the headshots to get it. I found that I eventually used just crits and crits and crits, and if there is another thing like this, I would definitely suggest this skill. Especially the stacking up to 999 times. I'm not sure if you could reach that amount of enemies before they're going to start wearing off, but it's definitely going to help, especially if you really enjoy sniping and you're going to get those crits and you know you're going to get those crits. And for the cunning, we're getting Death Blossom. It's an action skill argument. Throw a handful of I'm not going to pronounce that. I'm going to embarrass myself here. While deception is active, each of those will explode with a random element type. They do not benefit from deception bonus damage, but it does not end deception. and you can throw 5 of them per cooldown. So that's fairly effective, actually. It's okay, but it's certainly not going to compare to the sniping last tier skill, and especially the bloodshed. I definitely love this one, so let's get into it. Many must fall. Killing an enemy with a melee attack while deception is active causes you to deploy another holographic decoy, re-stealth, and add deception's duration. This can be done multiple times in succession. This is definitely the skill you want to go for. This is going to increase your game dramatically as soon as you hit this. So basically, if you kill an enemy with a melee attack while in deception, you will go into deception again afterwards. And if you're killing enemies that typically take 1 hit to kill, or they have all been injured, this skill is going to be very helpful. You're just going to go for the battlefield, you won't be hit, you won't have to waste your shield or your health, and it's just going to be amazing. Definitely the skill you want to go through. So I'm going to start going through these skills that I would suggest if I haven't given it away already. I'm definitely going to be going for the many must fall, so I'm going to have to put up to 5 skills in each of the sections here, in each tier. So for my first one, I'm going to have to say I'm going to go for either Killing Blow or Iron Hand. The problem with Iron Hand is it's only effective with 5. Well, it's not only effective, but it is going to be very helpful with 5 skill points. But Killing Blow is not as effective with 5 because it will be wasting skills. So I'm going to say I'm going to put 3 into Iron Hand and 2 into Killing Blow. And now I get the next tier. And typically I do not spread my skill points out like that, but for this specific situation it is going to definitely help you out. So now that we get into the next tier, kill skill. Well, it's fairly obvious, isn't it? No, okay. So shooting an enemy improves the melee damage. So this is the skill Be Like Water, where if you shoot an enemy, your next melee damage is going to do more damage. And if you melee an enemy, your next gunshot's going to do more damage. So if you do that over and over and over, you're definitely going to get that increased damage. So I'm definitely going to put 5 points into that. Now, this is... there's no question about which skill I'm going into here. Execute. There you go. Okay. So, yes. So now, for either backstab or follow through. I'm gonna have to go with follow through. It is a kill skill. I know. I can't believe I'm doing it. I can't do it. But again, I was talked into it the other day. So you get increased movement speed, melee damage, and gun damage for a few seconds after killing an enemy. So I'm going to put 4 into there, plus execute's going to equal 5, so I'm going to be able to get the next tier. And the next tier is Resurgence. Killing an enemy with a melee attack restores health. The lower your health, the more you will receive. I don't know. I'm gonna have to say, I'm gonna want to put 2 into backstab. I'm gonna put 1 more into follow through, and I'm gonna put 1 into 2. Let's say I'm gonna put 2 into Reinsurgence, specifically because backstab and completing follow through is going to be more effective than this, and it's going to get you 8% of your health per melee damage, only if your health is low. So especially because of these skills, you're going to be regaining health, and don't worry, you're going to have more points later. If you like it, you're going to definitely be able to add to it. And like the wind, while moving you gain melee damage and gun damage, 3% per level. Well, is that even a question? That's obvious. And many must fall. This is probably one of the best level 31 perks you can get. Gotta choose it. No question about it. You're going to be able to just kill enemies like there's no tomorrow. And now you're going to have 19 points before you reach max level, which is level 50. Just like I did in my last video, I'm going to leave this up to you. These last 19 points, I'm just going to finish off with these. I'm not even going to read through them because I pretty much know them off my heart. And I'm still going to have 3 levels after that. And you know what? Let's just put 3 into fast hands. Again, those last 19 points are definitely up to you, as is all the skills. But I would certainly recommend Bloodshed as your skill set. So thanks for listening, guys. I hope it's been fun for you guys, as much fun as it's been for me. Remember to subscribe, rate it, like it. Again, subscribing is optional because I will not upload videos as often. But if you do like it and you subscribe, and all of you guys subscribe, I will certainly upload videos more and more. And if you guys have any feedback, that would be very helpful. Again, I just started on YouTube and I've gotten fairly good feedback so far. Remember, if you want to contact me, I'd rather you do it, because of the limited amount of videos I have, I'd rather you do it through the comments so other people can see that many people are liking this, and they can go and see the video and see how much they will like it, and then it just grows from there. Right. And so I have a question for you guys, and this is how I'm going to end the video. Which class would you like to be? Again, I've gone through it. I've been a little biased with the skills, but it's up to you guys. So I hope you enjoy this video, and please just answer the question, rate, like, subscribe, do whatever you can. If you really want to, you can put it on Facebook, tell your friends about it, tweet about it, do whatever you can just to help my channel grow. And coming up, as soon as Borderlands 2 is released, I will be giving away copies of Borderlands 1 as a gift to whoever cannot get Borderlands 2. So, I am going to be giving away 2 copies on Steam. So, if you put your Steam name down in the comments, I will start going through. Again, since there's only a limited amount of you guys right now, I'm not going to give it away yet, but if I see a lot of people start liking it, I'm definitely going to start giving them away. So thank you guys, and hope you enjoyed it. Goodbye.